Alrighty. Da-da-da-da. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Yum, 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 yum. Yay. All right. So banners, this was not showing. My mistake. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Um, so whoever I've lost, that's fully on me. Um, what are we doing today? Um, just close everything here. Um, snap. Here we go. So, excuse me. Let's fetch from origin. So let's to provide me password. Oh, that worked. Mhm. Okay, what do we have? We have, oh, that Twitch emoji. Okay, Stefano is working on something. I'm not going to touch it until Stefano is ready. Um, I have something to work on. Implement list folding. I can branch, delete that. I'm not going to use that. Delete unmerged. Yes. Branch, delete, origin. I just want to delete it locally. And I believe branch, delete, delete, make handling cards containers span the available view height. And maybe we should review that. So staging that. Probably have a tab open for this. Come on. Can't open that one. It's a founders page. Well, probably a kid. Probably a kid. Actually, actually, I could probably close that. Uh, it's probably easier. There's some things I keep doing from Tmux, and there are others that I run from inside of vterm, such as an Emacs. Don't ask. Don't ask. Mhm. We just do this. What was I doing? Because neighbor Derek was having a confidential call. Co-working space. And so if I do this, show. Well, not just starting shoot soonish. All right. Well, this is it. Show. Let's see. It's actually quite interesting. I don't even know how this works. I'm not very good at this, am I? Let's find out. Okay, so this is there. 0 viewers. I can share. Uh, here. Up, here. Germany. Oh, face palm. Well, making excuses for myself, but not quite. But then move. Not back to coding. Well, let's see. You gotta do some stuff, huh? BKK, mango, rice, and land. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. Now I can't afford to be too focused on this, so um, I wonder how this works. Yeah, interesting. So if I show banners, you can't position them. Anyways, enough excuses. Let's just do this thing, eh? Okay, so looking at commits, this thing I already merged, Kanban cards. Let's have a look. Localhost, I will remove that, 3000. Interesting, I'm deafing in dark mode. I mean, I can see in the other screen what's happening. More than enough. Now, of course, I need to be able to figure out how to fold everything upon opening, um, or how to unfold with a tab. But anyways, the thing we're looking at is that this thing fills the full screen. It does, which means I get to branch, delete that, delete unmerged branch, not on the remote, display checkboxes. I don't want this, not here. Uh, yeah, I'll maybe notify Stefano about the situation. Noted some commits and the whole branch. It wouldn't work. New York space. I believe the name of the branch is Vidvina Prep. Yeah, okay, so from the new Vidvina.prep, Stefano. Maybe I should just put in here, find thread, all the cleanup work, refactoring work done. Cherry picking your commits this far back into this pane. Let's just start from a clean slate. Oh, what the hell? What the hell is that? Direct messages. Okay, Idrissa. I am not good with private messages in my chat room, but can hop into a meet. Okay, let me go into this thing. Let me just type going there now. Going there now, and then of course I stay here. Where are we? Here we go. Join now. Oh, now what I do over here? Chopping. Just a hide scroll bar. I think we already solved this. Show me. Hide scroll bar on board. That is merged, isn't it? How do you see if it's merged? All right, here, right here. So I can close this. Cool. Merge requests. TOC less in the face first try. I think I've already merged this. Mentioned in, yeah. Let's just have a look. What's in there? And I believe there may have been commits from someone else. To wrap this up. Ah, look at that. Yep. I believe all of this was, yeah, perfect. That one was cherry picked. CSC less in the face, close merge request. 3 more. Implement list folding. Now, Stefano did a good job in getting this in. I probably mentioned in 156. Can merge should run because merge for yeah, okay, fair enough. So close merge request. That's when it's done. Now I have 2 more. Should have been. Oh, why do I not hear this? Mic check. Mic check 1 2. Hello. Oh snap. Okay, here we are. Sorry for that. You're not. You were on my screen, but I'll move you away so you're not on the stream, so you don't have to worry. I hear you, but you would not be in the stream. Just FYI, because I know that you probably wouldn't love that. Yeah, exactly. I'm working while live streaming, so you're on the stream, bud. Your life. Yeah. Okay. Cool. 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 Yeah. So, what's going on? Talk to me. Talk to me. That's a hard one, right? I figured. That's why I asked you to help with that because I couldn't figure it out. And when I can't figure it out, I ask Adris. Where'd you send them? Oh, okay. They're in the chat. Let me go back to the chat. Okay. This is what I have. Need your feedback. Oh, that was like a few. That was like a while ago. Ooh, you got like some Tim Cook stuff in there. I like that. Um, let me see. Yeah. So maybe you can share your screen. Your screen. You're on my main monitor now, so you're visible. So if you don't want to be visible, you have to disable your camera. Otherwise, I'm like, otherwise you're gonna be the one who makes me famous. I don't have a lot of people watching, but maybe if they see you on the stream, more people tune in. That's what I'm hoping for. All right, I can see your screen now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So once more, so if you click on that, so can you click on it? Let me see how it behaves. Okay. All right, I hear you. Oh. I don't think I understand where we're talking. I'm trying to follow, but like there's a lot happening on screen, so I'm probably my brain just gets distracted and fixates on what I'm seeing. So maybe you can try it again somehow. Or can you sketch something? Because where are you going to position the comments? Because I see a lot of like curious dragging happening that it's not the intention that that happens in the end, right? Like the scrolling that we're doing right now, that's a It's a killer feature in the literal killer way. Like it will kill us. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So I think what we need to do is probably say a pros component will have. So that's the hard one. If we have for every pros component um, a comment margin reserved. It doesn't have to be a technical margin. It just has to be kind of like a diff to the right of the whatever it is, a text block or whatever that we're going to show. Um, Maybe that would be one way to do it. So that the tricky thing here is if we do indentation of children, then that is going to break the flow. If we don't do indentation of children, then this should be fine. But then we always have a corresponding margin block that we can use for whatever we need it. Problem is, if we have something that needs to be in the margin block that is much longer than the actual row would be, we need to figure out how to make sure that these things don't weirdly overlap. That would be like a killer. Um, but that's a hard UI. That's a hard front ending thing. So I don't know if it's even possible. I just know that Pinterest does something, and I don't know if I'm being like remarkably naive. Hmm. I'm probably not looking at the right monitor now because I see us talking. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, we got to be careful with copying text though. Like that's a copyright violation that's gonna get me sued, sued into oblivion. We can't have that. Just yeah, it can't even be in the Git history. Like I have to, or I'll have to scrub it out of there. So do me a favor, don't put any of those. Hmm. Okay, thanks. Because thanks because I don't want to I don't want to go to prison. So please don't send me to prison. I hear you. I hear you. I totally get what you were doing there. Yeah. Okay. So I think one thing that you can probably take cues from is whatever mechanism that we're using. I don't know if it's flex boxes. I don't even know fundamentally really. Like I have like a very rough understanding of what flex boxes do, but really don't ask me because I don't really know. I just know that there is like some reflowing magic that you can do nowadays. We need to be able to figure out what it is. If we were to say we have like one column that's a fixed width and another column next to it, can we align content in the first column vertically with content in the second column without injecting a lot of like runtime magic like JavaScript in there? Because I feel that that adds a level of complexity that we probably don't want. So there must be like a purely CSS like way to say like, oh, this thing that you have here in the left column needs to be um, vertically aligned with this thing in the right column. Figure it out, even if there's some spacing in between. I'm even willing to say like in the worst case scenario, we don't do this clever reflow thing of oh a longer comment then has like a certain padding of 5 units in Tailwind, which is then followed by another comment block. We can also just say like, you know what? Let's just cap it to the content row, the content item in the pros column. Maybe that will be fine. I think we just need like a first setup that works relatively well. And I think you're probably talking about multiple layouts, possibly, or I mean, like ideally, it's a single layout. I just don't know if it's possible. Ideally, it would be a single layout where you could do like the two column thing and the single column thing, but it probably would add some pain on your end to figure that out. But I mean, like I'm pretty sure if anyone can handle this, you are the person. So I am very confident that you would be able to bring this one home. I mean, if I had to put money on either one of us, I would put it on you over me. So this is how much I trust you. You got this, bud. Yeah. So, mhm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. As long as it doesn't drag along, we're good. If it drags along, then there are either two problems. The first problem could be there is I think the pros is what in a resizable whatever. We probably have to tell that resizable thing um, to be a little bit wider than pros. So maybe we have to say that by default it starts at 1.5 pros, and then we allocate one pros to the main text, and then zero point 0.5 pros to the column, the margin, right? And then the comments can show up in the margin space. But if I resize that thing to be less than 1.5, did I actually write that down? Maybe I should write that down. Um, let me see. Uh, Pros. Let me see if I have anything talking about pros. I probably didn't write this down today. Do you know what the name of is a task that you're working on right now? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Found it. Um, so let me read it out loud. See if it increased padding between section collapse, expand chevron and text. Was that it? That's quite different. Ah, that's already. Ah, okay. Because this one is slightly different, no? Yeah, the Excalibur. Okay, maybe I should. So what I meant that we're tackling first. Maybe I should be a bit clear. I'm opening the Excalibur right now. Give me a second. All right. Ooh, yeah, okay. Increase spanning between section collapse, expand, and chevron. All right, so actually this is going to be easier on you. Guess what we're going to do? We're doing a styling fix for now. So if you look at this is going to be really, really weird. I'm going to send you uh, my YouTube link. Then you just have to find out where I'm streaming, so you don't have this to disable your camera streaming. Then we're both going to be it's going to be weird, but let's just do it that way. I think if you go to that page, you will end up on my stream, and then I can probably show you what I mean. Because I think you're onto the right thing. It's probably one task further. Yeah, and then I guess you just have to click on the live one. Yeah, the top one. Yeah, the one live now. Yeah, cool, 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 cool. Every week, every week on Wednesday, like clockwork. I do it like a comedian. I'm doing this even when people are booing me out of the room. I have to keep it up. So I think today we have like just one person checking in. Many days, or sometimes I have like zero people checking in. Sometimes I have four. Sometimes I have eight. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how eight people show up sometimes, but those are definitely lucky days. And I also appreciate the days when just a single person checks in. Right now, we have one person on Twitch. Hey, Twitch. Um, so, what we're doing, um, I'm going to my screen. So I'm going to show you what I was talking about. So this whole thing about increased padding between section collapse, expand, chevron, and text, that's about this thing here, this area here. Do you see the mouse? So this chevron here is this thingy, um, which is like you don't see the chevron really well, but if I made it light, it hurts a little bit for the eyes. But you see this thing, the spacing is really off. the one that I need to like open fold sections. Um, so this is one thing that we need to. I want the spacing to be a little wider, um, but I don't know if that's a wise call. Like I feel that if we do the spacing a little wider, um, I don't know if we just need to make it clickable that it open and folds and that we have the chevron somewhere else. I mean, like that's kind of like my current problem is. Mhm. The chevron needs to be more visible. So the reason why I wrote a whole Excalidraw for this, or sketch to Excalidraw, is because I want to change the leftmost margin of all the main text. That would be the ticket that you're working on right now. So effectively, you have to imagine this as your notebook. To the left, you have this margin here, and you usually start to the right of the margin to write text, right? And then you can imagine that you also have uh, wrong control. And then you also have a right margin like this. And then in a typical notebook, you write between these two margins. This is the area. This is the, can I do this? This is not very easy with this thing hovering in the middle. That's not very good UI. Okay, but anyways, doesn't matter. This is the area where we actively have our text, right? I put this here, active text area. Um, this is what we need to come up with. So that would mean for us that we need to define some imaginary left margin, this one, this black line, and some imaginary right margin within which the text would have one prose width, right? So I just say width is one times prose. Problem is that we need to figure out what we do with this area here. If the screen is wide enough, like just now we already said, like, imagine that in the best case scenario, we probably reserve a certain width for this, for the comment bar or the comment column. Let's say for the sake of argument that right now we just say this is going to be dot 3 times prose, right? And then we then allocate, this may be good that we're doing this chat because then we're clarifying this a bit more than my imagination thought was sufficient. Um, dot 2, 0.2 times prose, right? Uh, if we could start off with this, let me fix this, 0.3 prose and 0. Then the total width here would be what, 1.5. That brings us back to our earlier chat, right? 1.5 prose. And within the 0.2 prose, we need to align that to-do workflow, if we have one, to the rightmost side of the margin, give or take some padding or margin that you think is sensible. We have to feel it out. Um, so that will be one thing to do. Um, and then we have the rest of the space to figure out how that chevron is going to be positioned. Now, because that chevron is, as far as I can tell, I don't know where the chevron exists inside of the hierarchy of the component, but I think we did something funky to get it positioned where it is. Oh yeah, see, we did something with absolute positioning. So I think, yeah, I don't know if it's a problem. I don't think the absolute positioning is necessarily the problem, but if you could do something that you think is much more robust, by any means, go for it. But I think what is important right now is that we get this notion of the leftmost margin in there and the rightmost margin, whatever it takes. Um, then we align the chevron, but mostly toward in relation to the leftmost edge of this component, because we always want the chevrons to show up roundabout about in the same place, right? And for the state, the workflow state, tablets or tags, whatever we're going to call them, um, they just have to be, they just basically have to fill up as much space as they can for the text to be showed. And if they're too large, if the text is too large, we probably have to do something with like overflowing, like ellipsis type of overflowing, because this thing can't be indefinitely long. We need a hard cut on how wide this thing can be. So if this tag is too large, we have to deal with it. But maybe that's not something to worry about yet. So one thing that we always know is how wide this thing is going to be, the chevron. So we can basically lock that in place, and then we can say this thing takes whatever space is necessary for the text to show up, and if it gets too large, we clip the text. That's the idea. Um, so, and then we kind of like get this behavior with the little chevron here, or whatever the button is for collapsing. You can open it, you can close it, and then whatever tag is there, if it's there, will show up. I mean, in this example, you have one without a state. This is what it would look like. You see that the main text is aligned in the same way, like the units that do have a workflow state. Um, so that is important for the flow of the text. I also see that I wrote a bit of text to explain. Let me see if it's still in alignment. Okay, here I set fixed width half times pros, so we're gonna change this. Now it's just gonna be dot 3 times pros instead of half. Can I undo? Okay, this is going to be 0.3 times pros. I say if the screen allows for 1.5 pros with content. Um, so what we mean here, if the screen allows for a 1.5 pro times pros width component, because this is highly dependent on what we do with the resizable whatever, right? If we were to say like, yeah, I want to resize this, I can't do that here. It's not resizable. But in the case where it would be in a resizable container, if you make it smaller than 1.5 pros, then we end up in this use case, where this use case is where the comment block is basically inside of the main column. We're going to call this also the main column, and then we're going to call this the comments column, and this arrow relates to this thing. This is bad. What am I doing? Comments column, and then here we're just going to call them left margin column. Now, if I say names, now you have a rough sense of what I mean. Um, so yeah, so if this, let me say, and the whole thing is called the pros component. So I say nice and big, pros component, and I can make the text extra large. I put it in the middle. Now it looks like it belongs. And maybe is there like some, I can't do that. I can probably do this. Perfect. Makes it a lot clearer. Okay, so what we have here then is that if the screen allows for 1.5 pros width component, then we do the top case. So let me move that little text up, then it actually flows. Desktop screen, if the screen allows for that, that's a lot better, right? Um, and then this arrow here is basically just to communicate what happens on collapse behavior. This entire thing that you see here, like this is the same margin that you have here. The rest of it, the rest of it is a little bit hidden. This probably should be a bit wider to be in agreement with this thing. So when you fold it, you only see the title and the workflow state. You don't necessarily see the comment block, but it might actually make sense to do something like to basically still show um, some diff to highlight the width of that block with some number of how many comments. the number of comments. This is an idea. Like I am very, I really don't care so much about what's in there because I think actually that completely leaving it out and making this thing as wide as it needs to be is probably better. Because then when you fold this thing, you probably would see a longer title than when it's open, when the title would probably be reflowed over multiple lines, right? Because that's the thing. A title text, if if long, would have to be split to the next line. All right? Because we can't have clipped titles in this thing. That would be madness. Title text, if long, would have to be split to the next line. So I think with this, you kind of have a rough idea of what this is going to have to do. Yeah. All right. So then min width is not going to be, yeah, max width is going to be 1 pros. This thing is never going, this main column here is never going to be wider than 1 pros. So I'm going to modify this text. Width is 1 pros. This is much cleaner. I did the same for these others. And then here on the top level, width is 1.5 pros. So now you know that the main column is at max 1 pros, at minimum half pros. So that means if I were to take the pros component and put it in a resizable whatever, and I were to resize it to make it narrower, 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 it should never, this main block should never get smaller than half pros. But that's here. Also, that's not a hard requirement. For now, I'd rather have us get this rough, the main things to work somewhat so we can play around with how it feels because that's really important. I think until we know how it feels, it doesn't really matter what I say because we may then find out like it doesn't quite do what we want it to do or it feels awkward and then we have to reconsider. So let's just be very flexible about where this goes. Let's just try to do a first implementation. All right, so then here I wrote show comments aligned with main text if the width available for the text is less. Yeah, this is a simple one, right? This is like if we were to resize, and let me show the arrows to indicate that we resized from here to there, right? After resize. Not great drawing, but I hope you kind of like get it. No, the component itself doesn't have to resize because there is already a place. Let me see, storybook dot. That's not how it works. Huh? I have to go to localhost 6006. Let's see if there is a storybook running somewhere in the background. There was a component that Tijan helped us cook up. Document, organism, section, default section. That's not it. I don't know for the life of me what it's. Pain bar. This doesn't look like it. Let me see. Is it somewhere in here? Resizable. There's this thing called a resizable. This is not the place where we really content container. There's this thing called a content container, possibly. Let me see if I can find it. Content. Okay, here. This thing. This is side by side view. Here we go. This is the one. I'll send you the link. I'll add it to the C. To test out resizing of pros containers. Good. All right, but here you see that we actually have a resizable and a pros that is inside of that resizable, right? Yeah, so here you can see that this thing, it becomes 1.5 pros wide, and then it doesn't really behave to me making this thing any bigger, right? Which is kind of like okay behavior because it doesn't need to be larger. If the text is wider, it doesn't make it more readable. It actually becomes less readable the wider it is. That's why long lines are a real pain in the ass to read. So in this case, what we would want this component to do is to, as it resizes and becomes this wide, to actually start showing the comments here, right? Which it doesn't do because this is just a sample text and it probably doesn't have any comments in it. But if it did, that's exactly what we wanted to do. So you could test this. Let me see, is there a way for me to scroll? Look, I can't set the text here, but you can probably go to the storybook that I just sent you and just play around with dragging this to see how it behaves. And in this case, it shouldn't get any narrower than 1.5 prose. And at the end, we should probably even configure the resizable, which is not for now, to have hard limits on how small it can get for particular types of content. But that's something for later. For now, I just want us to make sure that this prose thing takes up at most 1.5 width, 1.5 prose width, and then internally figures out how to position the comment block, the comments column, the main column, and the left margin column. Since the left margin column doesn't exist right now, this is something we have to invent or configure, if you catch my drift. So that's definitely one of the hard things in the ticket that we just wrote, is to make that work. Let me see. What's another thing that we need to do? Oh, that's wrong. Oh yeah, we need to go to Excalidraw. So let me write down things to be done. So the first thing, make sure we have a left margin contains the chevron fixed width, contains the workflow state component, the optional workflow state component, which should not be wider than the container, should not overflow, should clip content, um, um, yeah, so the optimal workflow state should not be wider than the container. It should clip content, make sense, should always be right aligned towards the margin, optionally with some padding margin, some white spacing, whatever it is. I'll leave that to you. And the other thing, make sure we have a main column to render main text. Should be 1x prose at max, should be 0.5 x prose at minimum. I think that speaks for itself. And then make things to be done. Add, implement, right? Implement a main column to render main text, which speaks for itself. And then this one, I say implement a comments column in which we render all the comment items. Okay, no, implement comments column only shown when parent container is 1.5x prose or bigger. It's easy. Greater than. I should write it. I think this is fine. Then we need to say implement the comments column only shown when parent containers. The reason it's semantically, this doesn't have to be the solution. Doesn't have to be a column per se semantically. It just needs to look or function like a column. I guess I'm afraid that if I say implement a comments column, that we actually implement a column, and that we then have like the column in which we can render the comment blocks, and then we also have in the main column itself conditional renders of comments. You catch my drift? I don't think like this is kind of like my issue. HTML. I'm afraid that we're gonna do this. Class, let's say content, right? And then we said like, well, let me just do this for the sake of laziness. We have like left margin, right? And then we have main left call, we call main call, and then we have comments call, which I am not completely a fan of, because then what we're going to end up doing is something like this, right? And forgive me, this is pseudocode, so this is not technically correct React code. Comments. And then we're going to do the same here, but content interspersed with comments, right? But then we're going to probably do like some if whatever, right? And then here we're going to do some other condition where we're going to say like, if the other thing didn't happen, then here we show the comments. Like, it's kind of like counterintuitive because it's not a very clean design. We basically are mutating DOM like depending on how we resize the thing, which I'm not at all a fan of. What I'd much rather have is if we can have something like this, if class some text. I'm just going to close it right now, and then a diff class comment that we figure out automatically from this to style this such that the comment just nicely, oh snap, almost dropped the mouse here. Gotta clear my desk. That we kind of like figure out how to nicely style this with CSS, that this thing shows up to the right. You catch my drift? Which is hard. It's a bit harder because you probably don't have like a single text and a single comment. It's probably gonna look more like this. It's some text 1, then some text 2 without a comment, then maybe a text 3 with a comment after, you know. This is kind of like the issue we have, where I want them all to, because now it means that the semantic structure of the document doesn't change when we like resize the container. If we do have like a dedicated right column, then we're probably going to like make items appear or disappear depending on what the width of the container is. Either we do it by flagging things, displaying them or not displaying them in CSS, or we actually mutate the DOM, which is probably worse. If you decide that this is really hard and we have to do some DOM mutation shit, then I guess that this thing is going to look like this after all. Let me just do this diff, bam, bam. What is this called? Comments call, and then we put all of these things in there, right? And that would be the design, right? Where you have like a dedicated column for these things, but now you just have to figure out how to align these with their main call partners, right? Which is hard. Maybe not hard for you, but it sounds hard to me. Because right now, this comment here has to be aligned with this one, not with this one, even if there's a lot of white space in between. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like, so possible designs are um, main call as single semantic scope. And then I probably do this. And then main call and comment call as separate semantic scopes. And then we get this, right? Challenge may be vertically aligning comment 3 to corresponding text 3. Let me just write them down as code snippets, and then let me remove this. Makes it easier. And then in the previous one, that was this one, the challenge may be flowing comments nicely into a column like hierarchy, because now you just have to make sure that you basically do this by CSS positioning rules. But I think the benefit here, benefit may be that wide or narrow views don't require any like rough or radical changes to CSS, display, or DOM, hide, or show else, right? So in one case, we'd probably be having if conditions where we either would, in the case here of the columns, we probably have like an if condition that if the screen was narrow enough that we don't have a columns column, right? That we would probably like rip this out through an if condition in React and then just put the comments here, which means we have code to do maybe a column here or maybe a column here, depending on the width of the parent, which feels like a very rough way to approach this. Maybe I should be clear in how I voice that in here. As with the multi-call design. And then here I'll just say, challenge may be vertically aligned and comment to the corresponding test. Another challenge may be that we may need to use conditionals to show the same content either in the comments call or in the main call, depending on the parent width. This is possibly done through just CSS rules like display, but in the worst case, through DOM manipulation, through if conditions in the JSX. Does this make some sense, or are you pretty lost on this? Because I'm not the best explainer here. Okay, cool. So let me show the example of the more worst case scenario. So if I HTML, a good example of so let's say CSS example. Let me just do the DOM example. That would be this monstrosity. If not wide enough for comments call, and then this syntax is shit, but you get the drift. I don't even know if that works. Clearly that doesn't work. So I'm just gonna just go back to that, pretend that that doesn't exist. if wide enough. Also, these names work in Lisp, but they don't work in JavaScript. Let's pseudocode for you, huh? Let me just, if wide enough, if not wide enough. There we go. This is what I mean. This is why I think it's ugly, right? Because in this case, we would actually be mutating the DOM. We would be recalculating the DOM depending on whether wide enough is true or false, right? That would be a bad design. Um, and then probably the other design, I should probably also outline that if I'm gonna give you this example. And I probably broke the list. That works. Main column scopes. That works. Oh yeah, I need to do this. Obviously, example, and then CSS example would be then this thing would be what? Display if not wide enough. Whatever this takes, you already have a rough idea of what I mean here, right? Display if wide enough. This could be some class or some other thing, but it's effectively just the CSS display rule. That's what I mean. Is that the problem with this design is that we effectively, let me close this. We effectively have this comment element listed in multiple places. We have it listed here in the case it is not wide enough, and then we have it listed there in the case it is not wide enough. And that we do the same here in the DOM case here, where we have it in two places, but there is a hard cut because the DOM changes depending on the width, which is part of the problem. And I'm also just going to simplify this example to just single text block and single comment. That's distraction. So you could probably read this through and see if there are any questions you have if you were to just look at it. I hope it explains things a little bit more. The ideal design up top, let me just close this. This is where we were, is effectively this. We have text and the column comments all in the same semantic scope. And we figure out by CSS because of maybe the class name. It's called comment and it maybe has some ID. Like based on this, you can probably figure out like, oh, because it's a comment, I position it to the right. And I make sure I keep in consideration what other comment-like items are doing in relation to their text. But I don't think this is the easy solution. I think this is the harder one, but I technically think that from a semantics perspective, it's the better one. Let me also say in order of preference. Benefit is that we can style the comments all at a higher level to assume certain dimensions. Cool. This, I don't know what's happening with that. I'll probably undo that. And then there's prose space, and I don't have white lines, white space. Okay, I'm going to chip doc update. Um, what was this task about? Task for Idris. White restructure task. Let me push this. Let's see what it looks like on the other side so I know that you have it. Okay, this is not the one. Let's go to staging.formation.tools, and it's called increase padding. Come on, come on, come on. How long is this going to take? Increase padding. Here we go. All right. It's now up there, so you could read it if you want to. We just don't have list folding implemented yet. Um, but I guess you can just read through the notes if it helps. It looks a lot better in my editor, but unfortunately, it's not great in the editor either, but it's a little more readable with the syntax highlighting. Sorry for the pain. Yeah, so I think the first thing that we really need to think about is like which one of the design candidates would you pick between one and two? Are you trying to put, I mean, like we're closer to, I think we were already closer to one, right? Where we had a single semantic scope for the main column, where we had text and comment all positioned underneath each other. Um, Maybe we try to figure out if there is a way to take this and to say like, oh, those comment blocks that are already rendered in the text right now, because you can see them, they're horrible looking comments like these. Can you make sure that as long as prose is wide enough, that they show up to the right hand side? And maybe the first step would be to say like, let's not worry about height. If the text height is too short, then there's just a scroll bar in here, right? It's to the right, but it has a scroll bar, so you can at least navigate it vertically. And then that's step one. And then we just make sure that for all the comments, they can get shown like that. And if we then narrow the width of the screen, that they automatically reflow to be shown in line, basically along the same vertical axis, right? That would be the first thing to do. And then from that point on, we can try to figure out like, how do you do that Pinterest style reflowing of those comment blocks thing if they maybe overrun their corresponding text containers. But I think it would be too far to do them all in one go. So I think for now, let me see. Implement a comment block only showing parent. Doesn't have to be a column per se. Can be limited to the corresponding texts, um, y dimensions, so you don't have to worry. Just put a scroll bar, a y scroll bar to handle overflows. I mean, if you do that, then that's kind of like the poor person's solution to this, right? I don't know if you still copy. Oh, you're still there. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's gonna be a rough one, but let's see if you can make a little bit of headway on that. And if you really run into a dead end here and you have an alternate design that you can propose, let me hear it. You're probably not going to come up with it right away, but I mean, like the rough idea that we want is basically what's shown in this image is effectively the result you would like to have. How it's implemented, we do have some opinions about it because semantics are important, um, especially for. So the reason why I don't want to do this thing, for example, columns here, is that for applications that do screen reading stuff, this is like a pain to navigate, right? Because they wouldn't know which comment is associated to a text. And then probably you would have to do some ARIA weirdness that I don't know about. But I'm guessing maybe there's a facility for it to say like, oh, this disjointed component somewhere else in the page is related to this other thing. So read them together if you have a screen reader, like stuff like that gets more complicated. Whereas if we do this, if a screen reader were to take this, or if a printer were to take this, um, it all belongs together, so it makes sense. You read the text, and then there is a comment to the text. You basically read the comment after you've read the text, most likely. I think that's how a human agent would navigate the text. So I think that's sensible. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just know that Tailwind defines it, and that's what I want to work with. Because I Tailwind knows better than me what's a good width for reading text. If they say that prose width is the best width for reading text, if you keep the text at like the base size, then I believe them, which is another design decision we don't have to make because we would likely not make a better decision there. Yeah. So I mean, I don't even think that you need to worry about what its actual width is, as long as you can make relations to pros. So if you can say like 1.5 pros and Tailwind understands it, then we're good. If it's impossible to do something like that, then of course you need to figure out what pros is and be careful that whenever that we know for sure that it doesn't change on other systems. That's the thing I'm a little nervous about once you start hard coding units in our app. Yeah, I can't find out what pros is, by the way, by looking at this. So I don't know. Uh, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, like, as far as I know, they design it to be for optimal reading width, and they adapt it for different sizes. So I guess that exactly this is probably why we should stick with pros units, because this thing changes if the text size is different. So if we were to say text small or text base or text XL, which might be a setting later down the line. If we were to change that, we don't want all the containers to look weird because they were dimensioned for they were hard coded. The dimension of them was hard coded. So if you can find us a way to say like, oh, take 1.5 pros, that would be brilliant. And I guess there's a way to parameterize it somewhat like, but I don't know. Like, can you say like, I don't know, like, let me not even try. Like, this is not my forte. I'm not even gonna try. I don't know what this is. Yeah. Alrighty. You'll take a look. All right, cool. If there are any questions, you'll get back, right? Coolio. Alrighty. Then I guess this is it, no? And I guess with that, I'll probably be ending my stream soon because I've been at it since 10 o'clock here, nighttime, and it's quarter to midnight. So I guess end of the stream, homies. Uh, I'll probably keep streaming for a little bit while I try to wrap up some other work. So in case you have anything you still want to like clarify while you're at it, if you realize like, oh snap, um, David said something that makes absolutely no sense to me, um, then let me know. We can just hop into a follow up. I'm just updating the thing as well. Sure, update for comment y diamond point commit push everything coming to you, and then I probably need to push Stefano's list collapsing magic so the lists look a little less ugly when you're examining them in the browser. Go, go, go. Thanks for your service. I probably did. Let's see, Majid track C. Like, I basically I merged all of the stuff more or less. I had to cherry pick everything painstakingly, but most of it is there. I think the one thing that's not there is the check boxes, which I asked Stefano to redo because I had to change some things in the API, and this was done on an older. It was started from an older place in the code base that I like. Look at this. This is where it started. This is everything that was merged in. It's gonna be hell for me to try to unify this. So I think it's just cleaner to start on top of this new branch that I prepared that also has the API fixes. So yeah, if you talk to Stefano in between, maybe you can outline, or if Stefano even has questions about it, because I think that Stefano already gets it. So I'm pretty sure that, let me see if I fetch from origin, does it update? Do I see what's been done in the meantime? Get finished. Okay, so yeah, yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I believe it's going to make the application heavy. But the thing is that if it's not that, we have to figure out another way to get them to render. And maybe it just means pulling in one of those WAF, whatever the format is, fonts with colors in them. The thing is that on a Linux machine, on an Android machine, on a Windows machine, on an Apple machine, these pages look very different. Um, so I don't know what the fix there is. Maybe you have a better idea. Let me know if it's not Twimoji, because I know that Twimoji does some heavy lifting by rewriting most of these symbols or most of these Unicode whatevers to SVGs or something like that, which means they're basically walking the DOM and doing like some pretty rough modifications. If we can avoid doing that by just saying that there are multiple fonts that the system falls back on until it doesn't find a glyph in the font and then it falls back to system defaults, I'm happy with that. So maybe that's the thing to do. So spar with Stefano about this. Um, if you have any ideas, or even with Tijan, if Tijan has any ideas. How's Tijan doing, by the way? How's the hackathon going? Okay, right. Righty. When is Tijan back? Ah, okay. Alrighty. Yeah, so then say hi to Tijan when you talk to him. Um, And if you have the time to chat about this, like I'd be more than happy to hear if we just pull in another font, which frankly would be the chillest solution, right? If we just can pull in a font and we have it all, then I'd be happy. Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. We- Looking forward then. Emoji font for web. Let's see. What do they say? How to use an emoji font. Noto emoji. Maybe that's the one we need to use. I don't know. The Google font website crashed on me before. No, these are uncolored. Do they have colored versions of these? I'm pretty sure they do. Let me see if I go to Noto fonts. Uh, Come on, give me something nice. Noto. Okay, this is probably not a right idea. Noto color. Here we go. Noto color emoji. Ah, this happens to me often. Can you open this page? I'm gonna send it to you on the Google Meets. Let me see if this thing is if like it's really funny. Like I've tried this a month ago, and then I had the same issue, and then I just parked it. Um, and let me see. Just spoke with Idris, and perhaps something like pulling in a Noto color emoji font would be a more scalable fix. Anything that is. Where's your screen? I know I don't see your screen. Not yet. Oh yeah, there you go. You have it. I don't know. Like people don't like Linux users. Um, um, No to color. So yeah, so the reason I didn't really do anything on that front is because I simply couldn't access the page. So it's like, well, screw this. I'll do this later. But I just updated Stefano's the task for Stefano to talk about the Nodo emoji thing, and maybe that's one thing you can explore together to set them up such that everyone at least gets Nodo color emojis first. And if there is no emoji available for a particular Unicode series or sequence, then it falls back to system defaults. Sounds like a way. So you can then reach out to Stefano while I go home to get some Z's. Um, and yeah, cool, cool, cool. Sounds good. All right. I think that's it then. Of course, you're most welcome. This is my last stream from here. I'll be back next week, back in Berlin, so I'll be closer to your time zone. So I'll be available all of your working hours plus. So it gets easier from here. Yeah. So definitely. You have a lovely rest of the day then. All right. Take care. Ciao, ciao. All right. All right. So one person on YouTube, one person on Twitch. I'm pretty sure that the one person on YouTube was Idris. Huh? Uh, or maybe it's someone else. In that case, say hello. Um, but yeah, folks, I've done some ounces of work, not massive portions of it. Um, I did some unblocking, and there's possibly, oh, yeah. So like this point, I can fold it, add fonts, work in progress. Let me just mark this to technically in scoping. I don't know. So still figuring out the piece is kind of WIP. So dot dot dot. Uh, Get some texts. What's going on? Oh, little sis. Oh, snap. Little sis is chilling out in Hamburg. Nice. She's having a good time. Oh, she's asking what the reeperbaan is. Um, so let me tell her in Dutch. So reeperbaan is basically de Nederlandse soort van equivalent van de Wallen. Ze hebben heel veel soort van adult entertainment daar. Dus een culturele soort van, wat zou je het nou noemen? Maar het is een soort van een cultureel soort van center counterpoint of, ja, ik weet niet. Het is een culturele hub. Er zijn heel veel activistische dingen gebeurd op de reeperbaan. Er is een hele sterke community daar. Het heeft wat elementen van de Jordaan. Het heeft wat elementen, de Jordaan in Amsterdam. Het heeft wat elementen van de Wallen in Amsterdam. Gewoon een hele interessante buurt. Het heeft een hele rijke geschiedenis. Hele interessante figuren die daar gewoond hebben. En nog steeds wonen. Het is echt een hele volkse omgeving. Met een soort van adult entertainment nuance. Rijk aan cultuur, zou ik maar zeggen. Heel veel cabaret en een soort van, hoe noem je dat nou? Niet cabaret, maar weet dat ding nou wat Moulin Rouge echt-achtige spul van die night shows en wat nog meer. Ach, whatever. Ik ben midden in de stream en mijn brein is niet meer optimaal, dus jammer genoeg krijg je dit over de brug. Sorry daarvoor. Alrighty. Misschien moeten jullie gewoon eerder weerstand opbouwen om misschien volgend jaar februari naar Bangkok te gaan. Yes, folks. So I'm gonna wrap this up. So my little problem is that for work, I got this little sucker set up, the monitor. I'm obviously not flying back with that thing because I have plenty of monitors at home. So I brokered a deal that I leave it here for the next time that I'm here because I have a designer based out here. I have some other folks that I'm working with out here. So there is a lot of reason for me to be here, and it's a productivity boost because less distraction. I take advantage of cheaper cost of living and um, yeah, access to different time zones for sparring with people. So I'm not even just collaborating with just people from Thailand, but I'm also collaborating over Upwork with people elsewhere in the region, which is a bit more accessible for me now that I'm here because it's more synchronous. I could find, I mean, like I'm collaborating with folks from the Gambia as well and folks in Berlin, so it doesn't really matter actually. But right now, I had like a bunch of designy type of stuff that needed to happen on a different front. So it was nice to be able to be here to kind of like be closer to where things are and even have the opportunity to meet up with some folks. So, yep, 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 yep. Anyways, this is gonna be it. Kind of a weird stream, huh? I have one more thing to sort out. So let's see. I believe I pushed this. Stefano probably knows what to do with this. Then I have merge hack, origin hack. Why is list folding not implemented? Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, this is really weird because now I have to figure this out. Like, this is really weird. Oh, let's see. Is there a list? There was a list thingy that's in doc, and then list, and then mixed list. And then here we go. There's this capability there. I just don't know how. Show code. Huh. You don't show definition lists in the right way. That's something to fix. Um, um, actually, so list, not list perspective, lists. Not list parsing, display checkboxes in list. Parse list item. What is that? We still need to parse tags inside of list items. Not sure. Okay, that's something we need to do. Fix list transition, list crop. Their content, which is very likely the attribute is a way to see if this transition implemented. To do fix list transition. Done. Resolved using disclosure. Headless wise disclosure. So good. Fix definition lists. I don't know who's going to do this. Definition lists are not rendered. Definitions in definition lists are not rendered APM. Give me an example of an org. Apple. I don't have to do that. I can basically copy this. This is annoying. There we go. Yep, that's enough. Definitions and definitions are not rendered in the moment. Implement. Fair enough. To do. Yes. It's currently top. This is next. List items is lowest priority. Everything that's done, I don't need to worry about. But I need to debug this thing first. Bananas are a good source of electrolyte and potassium. That works. The texts inside of lists are shown by open vegetables. The list in there is shown. This thing is technically incorrect. I don't think that's a valid. Yeah, that's invalid. That's good. That shows as text because it can't be parsed. Good, 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 good. Let's see. Did I get a message? Not from my sister. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Ooh. Multiple approaches for better diversity of solutions. Mail was CC'd to founders at. So See no evil. Shameless. All right. So some comms, some comms, some comms. Bum 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 bum. What else do I need to jump on right now? Ooh, got some stuff on Mastodon. Something on Mastodon? I don't know. Okay, focus. This thing, mix list. It's showing up here. I don't get it. I really don't get it. What is so different about the other lists I'm building? First of all, this thing that I'm looking at right now, is that at all? It prep show all list item children panel, remove unused imports. I probably didn't have a delivery of this thing because it was an error. You think so? Yes. For sell.com. Look, pretty sure that if I look at this yet, if I look at this, we find out that, come on, we'll find out that the build wasn't delivered. Or was it? Merge. 5 hours ago on main. Huh? No. I don't get it. Preview. Yeah. There's nothing on main. I don't understand. So there's one thing, fix DOC, then prep display checkboxes. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so let's just right, let's do that then. Let's prep stuff on the display checkboxes. Let's up FTP, reload, merge, no fast forward, merge and edit message, prep, merge brands into hack. Yep, paste that, branch, local branch, first my local. I should have fast forward only. I should have done this correctly. Now I'm on for the merge hack thing is always my temporary working branch in case I mess things up. It's a lot easier to clean things up. But for now, building prep branch is building, which means that I should be able to navigate lists in here. I should be able to expand, collapse them. It's the thing I really want. Um, come on. Well, fair enough. Probably didn't ship it yet. Building. How long does it take? I don't even know what's the best. All right, so this thing I closed doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Matter. Not for now. Oh, shipped. Good. Reload. Let's see what happens. Come on. Come on. I mean, like, I really can't overthink this. It doesn't get faster than this, does it? Yes. Here we go. Here we go. Problem. Typography is off. Quick fix. Nope, not a quick fix. This is something that I leave up to do fixed typography. Uh, list text in lists set to the main text should not be case. All text list should be rendered in the same size as other pros. Perhaps there is a text SM or something of the sort somewhere in the tree list that needs removing. Up. Ooh, what is this? What is this? What is this? Um, well, fair enough. Uh, at list type setting issue was reorg list tasks. Uh, well. Something for lists. Here we go. And this is probably going to break. Oh, that's also for the TOC. Something we can fix. Not critical, but I'm pretty sure Tijan knows what to do there. Like fix typography in lists. And yeah, let me just go to Chen that. And that's rebate. Yeah, included most of your work into mainline and to where you'll find other tasks to tackle. Small one. Um, double check that. And why am I doing this with the bright mode on? Enhance to make common cards container span the whole view height. This one is done. I can close. I believe I've referred to this in a different commit. Yeah, where's this? Come on, come on. Where are these commits? Like, what the hell commits do? Make Kanban. Okay, whatever. Let's just patch it in QB. Make just I probably didn't create something for it, and I'm probably not going to paste into mainline with comment. Um, what is this? List manual. What are we looking? Manual list folding entities for a new component. Where is this? Changes. It's 8 commits though. All right. Let's see, it says clean up. Where's the adjust position and style? Oof. Let's just have a look then. List. All right, we probably don't need this. Yeah. Oh shit, we didn't. Add more optimal way of getting a chill and add a more optimal way. I believe we did. More. Yeah. Okay. Cool. With that, down to 0. Cool. 2 hours ago. Well, let's see. 3. That one. For something to close last commit, we will go another way. All right, it's interesting. I think. I tend to commit only. Really gets easier once you. I don't know. I don't know if it gets easier. What do some of them look like? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Like here, we have like done for today, like with and done for the day, done for the day. Writing good commit messages. Writing good commit messages. It's not easy, so better commit messages. Whip. Free code camp. Good commit messages. Patterns for. Let's see, because what tips did I give? Good add insert detailed message here. Add margin and conventional commits. This is like overdoing it. But this is a good point. This is a good point. I don't know what I meant by what should we challenge to open up a personal project or positive in the long run. Perhaps you encounter code in a professional environment which you have no idea what to meant for. But to the future. Here we go. Bob. as far as they suggest. Something we have commits like commits with messages like it may be a symptom of a too wide a scope for a particular chunk of work. I try to either very narrow baby tasks, tackle which writing a commit message is easier, or I commit P to pick the changes that fit a central theme, like formatting the code or removing X prop. Some cases I would squash a series of commits with ambiguous commit messages. So you pick a variant to tackle for which writing point is easier. And limit such to a single file for ease of figuring out how to describe the chunk of work. Or I commit P to pick the changes that fit a central theme. Come on. Any more? P or speak no evil. Example of holy smokes scope I tackle is formatting code, and npm format fix, or removing the X prop, or 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 passing a prop from the parser to the renderer. I would squash some cases. I would squash a series of commits and ambiguous messages during my merge work, during merges. At times I'm just lazy. Which was this case? Because here, the messages kind of like tell you what they're doing. Here, this one tells you what you're doing. Just position and style. I love those. This one. So now, first try now and whip. Whip. Or, no. She's like, we really don't have to go as far as we do, but if it commits, my work I try to either. Seen you write great messages That would be lovely to help simplify merge, help speed up actually, speed up the merging effort and figuring out message rewrite, text commit message when attempting to rewrite. I believe writing commit messages is I believe writing commit messages is probably even much harder for commits one hasn't written themselves. Very informative messages before, so more of that would, would help. Base your tree to fix fuzzily worded commits or squash multiple commits into a single commit. But some would consider basing a bit of a work art. Once you have it. Not telling you to rebase, but like refactoring an element, moving a capability, etc. If a glance at some tips on commit naming. You really don't have to go as far as it just but if you commit understand the problem though. Sometimes want really want to do the same, but then remember how lost you will be in reconciling. I've seen you write very informative messages before, so more of that would also be a merging effort. Perhaps you can tell me what I need to specify I do in terms of guidance to simplify the understanding and simplify converging towards messages sometimes Or just explain solutions. It's formulate clear messages. Just playing around and playing to figure out what may work. You can also replace the like to a single commit. All right, check for the misses. Hey, love. Oh my goodness. I see you on the stream now. Holy smokes. I was muting a call because I thought you were gonna say something naughty. Um or I was actually I have to pay better attention to the live chat audience. You're right. I see your message there. I'm responding. Um I'm not supposed to respond. Yeah, it's been going on longer than planned. Okay, I'm packing up. I've been saying I'm packing up for a while now, and I just keep on doing stuff. I was just writing like a quick message to Stefano about commit messages, and I kind of got sidetracked into it because it's a fun topic. But billions is even more fun. Um, so yes, I am getting my shit together. I am. You're probably. Are you still watching? Okay, your controller is. Oh shit! Okay, I've been caught red-handed. All right, folks, stream's over. The missus says so. Um, that's the spirit indeed. Oh, look at this. 2 hours, 25 minutes, and 58 seconds. Going strong. Absolutely. Oh, Gaby is even here. Hey, Gaby. Enjoyed last night in Hamburg. Lainey's telling me that you have to tell. Lainey's saying over the phone that you have to tell me to pack it up and get the hell out. So I'm packing up and getting the hell out of here. All right. Okay, cool. Look at this. I'm pressing end broadcast. See you around, folks. Have a good rest of the what day, evening. It's past midnight here. I've been breaking the rules. All right, cool. Let's go. Let's go home. Let's go home. We got some billions to watch. And then tomorrow early workout, back to the office. Okay, wrapping it up. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Y'all take care. Boop. Oh, press the wrong button.